Hello, dear listener, and welcome to ThriveCast, unlocking your full potential. Your well-being is our priority, and we're here to provide you with practical, heartfelt advice on living your best life. Together, we'll explore identity, purpose, prosperity mindset, authenticity, and so much more. So grab your headphones and get ready. Your journey starts now. So welcome everybody to, and again, another episode of ThriveCast, Unlocking Your Full Potential. I'm Oscar. I'm an emotional fitness coach, and I help people get closer to and get connected to the divine and God in their life. I somehow allow my own love for God to shine through me in these episodes, and hopefully I wish for you guys to be touched by this and be transformed by this, because all the glory from me or from God goes to you. Anyway, I'm here today with Katarina Hansens Carlson. Katarina, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Oscar, and hello everyone. And I'm the CEO of Destiny International 11. And for 20 years, I've been helping people to find their entrepreneurial blueprint. And entrepreneurship for me is a spiritual game. So that's why it's important here. So I've been inspired by God for 20 years. So this is extraordinary. And I would love for other people to be inspired by God, to be inspired by spirit, whatever they want to call it, the universe, to actually to find their purpose and to live their purpose and to live it, in length, 20 years, 30 years, 50 years, because you grow with it. So Katarina Hansens Carlson. So today's topic is see the God in them, see the God in others. And it may sound easy, but I tell you, I don't think it's that easy. So what would you say, Oscar? What is it? What does it mean to see the God in another?
Well, I would actually argue that in order to see the God in others, then you also have to have an understanding of what is God?
Right.
How does God expresses itself, and what is God's heart? How does God view other people? Because you can actually just see God in others by having the God through you seeing the God in others. Because the moment that a filter is in, or you're forcing yourself, or you're saying, I need to somehow see the God in others, then there's a distortion, because you see it or you don't. And if you don't, it's not because the God isn't there. It's simply because you have, as they say a little bit in the Bible, right? You have this big bulk in your eye, so you can't see the little tistle that is in theirs. Yeah. So that's where I would start. It's always about becoming aware of what does God love? What does God's eternal love really mean? Because it's when we come in contact with that we start seeing beneath the surface in other people.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yeah. When I think of, what is it to see the God in another, I think of Yeshua ben Joseph, because he didn't put himself on a pedestal and say, I know it all, I know the truth, and you're just such ignorant people. He loved people, and he perhaps without even saying any words, he would just look at people and see the God in them, because he was a walking, talking God, which we all are.
Yeah.
But when he healed, he saw the being in front of him as perfection. And I don't know, of course, exactly how he healed. I would love to know. But what is it to see the God in others? If we know who we are, and we are actually in truth and in simplicity, we're able to see the God in others. And for me, that would make a huge difference if more people did that. I mean, in India, they say namaste, which is the God in me honors the God in you, which is very beautiful.
Yeah.
So, what's the next question? What stops us from seeing God in others?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you have a quote there, Katarina. I would love for you to just read it, and so our viewer or our listeners can hear that.
Okay.
I'm going to show it on the screen here also during our
Okay.
Anyway.
So now the Lord is the Spirit. And where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And we all who, with unveiled faces, contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into his image with ever increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit.
Exactly. And so the key here is exactly what it says, unveiled faces. Because if you look upon God with a filter, regardless of what it is, that filter will stop you from seeing the glory of God. And the filter usually is an emotional filter. If you have some type of resentment towards God because you have an idea that he's somewhat not good, then you won't see the goodness in God. And if you don't see the goodness in God, then you cannot then that image is not what transforms you, but rather it's the image of your distorted view of God that transforms you. So you get into what is called, an abomination, rather, right? That's a harsh word, but it's essentially what it is, right? Because you're literally looking through a filter that is not the truth. And that's why it's so important to actually understand, what does God's love truly mean? Because we find so many definitions outside and inside, but the truth is this, that when you start finding, and that it really resonates with the purity of your heart, then you will start to sense that. And as you become clearer upon that signal, and you start looking for that gold, then you will start seeing how this veil starts disappearing. And as it disappears, you get a revelation of what it means to be in the heart of God. And as that happens, you become transformed, because it's like you're seeing yourself, or you're seeing God in the mirror. And it's not about, I need to boost myself. No, it's so simple. It's such a gentleness in the way God's heart expresses itself. So could you just repeat the question again, so I have my train of thoughts here? Yeah.
So what stops us from seeing God in others? So
yeah, filter. Exactly. I think I answered that, right? It's our own perception essentially of other people, and also our own perception of God. Because if we limit our view of God, then we will have a limited view of God in other people as well. The more we see and understand what God is, the easier it is to distinguish and not get caught up in our own projection of what we perceive the other one to be, but actually see through them and see the gentleness and the God in them as well, which is what transforms them.
Beautiful. So it's letting go of the filter and seeing.
Yes.
And I would like to say that we often fill the gap between two people, we often fill it with chatter. We often fill it with words because it's kind of scary to look at someone else and say nothing. It can be scary. I mean, if you look in the mirror, some people cannot look in the mirror. I mean, there are many transformational trainings where they're asked to look in the mirror, and it's scary for a lot of people, or to look in someone else's eyes. So in the silence between two people and letting your fears go, you can actually see that person. And I think you become closer and closer to that person. And if we really want to see God, look at a little baby. Look at their eyes. They don't smile because they want to please you. They haven't got the filter you were talking about. They haven't got it yet.
No.
And you can see pure God in them. And have you noticed that little babies stare? They stare, they look around, and they can probably see people's auras. They're probably picking up thoughts. They can they can see a way much more than we give them credit.
Yeah.
So and little children as well. They have an innocence about them. They haven't learned to be competitive, judgmental. They haven't learned to compare, which we all learn to do at home with our siblings, but also at school, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And our teachers certainly don't necessarily look at us as God. It's like, sit down, shut up, and listen.
Teachers look upon themselves as God.
Maybe they do. And I'm sure there are some teachers who actually look at their students as God and who are absolutely brilliant.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, yes. So if I look at a person, one of the first things I notice is that I look at their clothes, their body shape and everything. I'm admitting it all now. But if I'm aware of that, then I can remove it. And I can say, no, Katerina, this is not a body. This is not clothes. This is not about that. It's not about social consciousness. Look at that person. Can you see God in them? Yeah, I can. I do this on the bus and on the metro. I test myself, because the day I can see God in everyone is the day I can really feel God in me as well. I mean, I do feel God in me, but then when I see it in everyone, then I'm at home. Okay, so what's the next question? Do we see God in ourselves?
Yeah. Well, when I think of this question, it has to do with how open my heart is in the moment. And when at the same time also, it's also about understanding what is the expression of God? What is the expression of God's love? What is the expression of everything that you have been given and everything that you can ever give to someone else? And it just becomes this part where you start seeing that, as I sense how my heart opens up, and as I see and understand what he, she, it is about, then it's almost like I start seeing God in myself. It's almost like the more you study God, the more you see God in yourself. The more you understand, then you see it in yourself. And it becomes a way of being. And the more you have a relationship with God, the more you see him or her in you as well. It's the same as within a partnership. People who have lived together for a long, long time, they start resembling each other. If you're in a love relationship with God, you will start resembling God. And not out of to pat yourself on the back or boast yourself up. It's just this enormous gentleness and humility. Because through that, you keep on being continuously transformed. It just happens. That's what I would say.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, yes, do we see the God in ourselves? I'd like to challenge viewers to actually look in the mirror and just look at yourself. And if you feel fear, just feel the fear and keep looking, keep looking, keep looking. And if you start judging yourself, let it go. If you start comparing yourself with how you used to be, like you're getting older or you're getting prettier or whatever, just let it go. It doesn't matter, because that's not who we are. We're not our bodies. We're much more, and the eyes are the windows of the soul. So I do this every day. I look in the mirror and I state who I am. And sometimes that can be a challenge, but I don't let it go until I've said it.
Yeah.
And now every time I look in the mirror, I do the same thing, and it's getting stronger and stronger, and it's affecting my life. So I encourage viewers to do that. You may already have done it, but do it again. Because when you see God in yourself, it is so much easier to see God in others. Okay, so the next question. What would the world be like if we could see the God in others? And I mean all others, every religion, every race, every creed, every child, every woman, every man.
Yeah. I mean, there will be total peace for all in eternity.
Yeah.
Because that is what God represents. And if that's what we see, there will be no conflict. There cannot be any conflict. Conflict is a man-made concept, essentially. It's made out of our own distortion and our own filter towards reality that is warped through our emotions, which makes us believe that what we see or what we think is true, which is not. But we need to feel that pain until we come to the end of that pain, right? And we feel like, now I've had it, no more. And then we start asking for help. Because we have to embrace our own incapability of solving everything on our own, and understand that we are God's children, and take on that and understand that, well, as we are connected to him and we see other people through him as well, well, then we cannot blame anyone else. There's nothing to blame. And then there's just peace. And as that peace is there, then why should you ever go out and try to claim something on your own? And the fact is this also, if you look at the Bible, it also says like those who already have will have more. Those who have less will have even lesser. It's just about your sense of perception. Because if you're so full with God, you will have even more God. But if you don't have that, then you will have even less. So it's really the choice. And we have to understand that as us, it's our responsibility to look for the gold. And if we can't find it on our own, then ask Jesus, ask God, please help me see the goodness in this human being. Forgive me for not seeing the goodness in this person. Transform my view of how I view the world, because I know that if I'm in a aggression or whatever it is, it's an illusion. Yeah.
Beautiful. So, what would the world be like if we could all see the God in each other? It would be completely transformed. There would be no wars. How could you possibly war against someone who you saw as God, who you saw as a divine being? How could you possibly even contemplate killing that person? Well, however they think, because they have a right to think and a right to believe however they want to believe. And in my book, as long as they don't harm anybody else with their thoughts or their actions, they have a right to think and believe whatever they want.
Yeah.
So we are one, and all are one. We are actually brothers, even brothers to Yeshua ben Joseph, great masters. So, and I believe in the saying, all for one and one for all. So if there's one of us that suffers, we all suffer.
Yeah.
If there's one of us that is in joy, then we're all in joy, because we all share that, and we all share the thoughts, universal thoughts.
Yeah.
So imagine there would be no hospitals, because we wouldn't be ill. We wouldn't judge ourselves. We wouldn't judge other people. We wouldn't judge our bodies. We wouldn't make ourselves ill.
Oh.
So we'd have no hospitals. We'd probably not have no police, because why would we have police? Because there'd be no criminals.
No.
So we would live at peace with each other. And for me,
and people might think also, the funny, it just comes through, sorry for interrupting you, but then people is like, well, that might be boring. What a boring life, right?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Horrible. Like there would be no comedy, right? Because there's no drama.
Right.
There needs drama in order for comedy to be there.
Yeah, good point.
Which simply is not true. But yeah, continue. I just felt that I needed to say that.
Like I wouldn't get my kicks out of this series of these this what do you call it, soap opera of in conflict and bitching against each other. I wouldn't get that, because why would you bitch if you could see the God in somebody?
Exactly. It's like
they'd go, oh well, it's boring because we wouldn't have any conflict, we wouldn't have any heroes. We would have heroes. For me, we would have a world of supreme wealth. We wouldn't have to struggle for wealth. We'd have a world of supreme power. And I don't mean power over others. I mean our own divine power. We are way more powerful than we think. We can create disease in our own bodies. We can heal our own bodies. We have the power to actually rejuvenate. We have so much more power than we recognize. So we would have, imagine a world of supreme power. So nobody has to have power over anybody else, right?
None.
And supreme intelligence. So we'd always be listening to universal thought and creating from that, because we are creators.
Yeah.
So would we be bored? Absolutely not. There would be the next creation, and how can we serve others the best?
Yeah.
And for me, would be in a world of supreme genius as well. Because once you open up to God and universal thought, you become a natural genius, which we all are, actually. So would it be boring? Nah.
Exactly. Thank you for elaborating on that picture as well. For me, I just wanted to go into the heart of God, but for you to really putting the extroverted, right, the view into our listeners' mind, right? Because that's also about it. This endless creativity. Imagine, like you said before, that a child gets to keep their absolutely glorious creative mind. I mean, imagine the creations we would have in this world. I mean, I'm looking at our houses and I'm like, how can they be so freaking square? Right? It's like it's like, no, it's standardized. But no one maybe wouldn't even make a chair like any other chair anymore. It would be such an extremely flourishing world.
Yes, yes. And no idea would be wrong. No idea.
None.
I imagine schools that are very, very dynamic. I mean, I'm all for dynamic, creative schools, innovative schools. But imagine if children loved to go to school and they couldn't wait to be there and be with their friends and create and cooperate together.
Yeah.
One thing I left out is a world of supreme love, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love, power and love, intelligence and genius. So, and would that be boring? I don't think so.
Exactly, and I think you put the nail on, or the head on the nail here, because that's also what we're looking for. Because you're actually not looking for all these external or material things. What you're looking for is to be fulfilled by this utter joyful, euphoric, wonderful, amazing feelings that God represents. You know, it's like, imagine the utter humor that must be in God. Like there must be such an enormous kind of laughter there.
Yes.
That you can laugh at, and that's why you can see this in a lot of people that been touched by the Spirit, right? That they're just laughing, they're overjoyful. It's easy because it's not serious anymore in that sense.
Yeah.
And so humor becomes a natural state of being.
Yeah. Joy becomes a natural
joy. Yeah, joy becomes a natural state of
pure play.
Yeah.
You know, not taking ourselves so seriously as adults, you know.
Yeah.
My career and my house and, you know, my square, as you said, my square house.
Yeah.
Why not a round house, you know? Why not round?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure if we introduce that in schools, like to create new furniture, new kinds of houses, children would go
nuts. It would be amazing.
Yes,
absolutely.
That is going to happen. That will.
Yeah. Yeah.
So great conversation.
Absolutely. So flowing.
Yes, beautiful. So next week we are going to talk about our spiritual teachers. How did we get to where we are? Are we better than you? No, 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 no. We are not. But we have gone on a journey. Oscar has gone on his journey. I've gone on my journey. And we bless our journeys. And we'd like to share with you how we took those stepping stones. Because once you are clearly committed to be on a spiritual journey, and we all are, but you decide, yeah, I want to know more about God. I want to experience God. I want to have God in my life. I want to, and even if you don't believe in God, I want to have more universal thought. I want to become a genius. Whatever turns you on. If once you're committed to that, then you start to listen within, and it will tell you exactly. Go to this person, do this, do that, do that. So it becomes quite easy, and it doesn't become harder. It becomes actually much easier because your way is clear. So next week, our teachers. And so, Oscar, how do we get in touch with you?
You get in touch with me through my website, realitydecoding.com, or my Facebook group, Live Your Purpose, or on YouTube as Oscar Nygren. Yeah. And you, Katarina?
Yes, Catherine Carlson on LinkedIn. I'm actually going to leave my calendar link.
Calendly.
The Calendly link. So if you would like a breakthrough in seeing God in yourself, first of all, and then in others, then contact me, because we can have a conversation about that. So have a great week until next week, and see God in everyone. See God in, and your life will transform.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your husband, your wife, your children will be amazed if you suddenly decide, okay, just for 24 hours, I'm going to see God in everyone. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see God in myself.
Yeah, look for it, and also ask to be shown God in it. Because when you ask, and you specifically also ask to God, Jesus, whomever you feel that you believe in and that can aid you, then you will be shown. And more will be revealed. And you will be transformed, and so will everyone else in your life be too. Yay! All right, everyone. Take care. This was a wonderful episode. See you next week. Bye.